And so, hello there, and welcome to a new Night of the Movies podcast. And in these podcasts, I talk all things movies and TV, and whatever I want for about half an hour to an hour, I guess in this case, once or twice a week. And in today's podcast, I'm giving my thoughts on the Oscars that just happened. But before I get into all that, I should say what I say at the start of every podcast I do, that if you are watching this podcast on YouTube, hello there to my viewers, but heck, you just don't have the time to watch the full podcast on YouTube, then you can just check this podcast out audibly on Spotify and Nights and Movies on that platform, and there should also be a link to my Spotify account with this podcast in the description of this video below. But if you are listening on Spotify, hello there to podcast listeners, then you can also check this podcast out visually on my YouTube channel at Nights and Movies on that platform as well. Likewise, wherever you are watching or listening to the podcast, please feel free to like and subscribe if you enjoy the podcast, of course, and also leave some feedback so I know what to improve on in the near future on these podcasts. Give me some ideas and I'll be thrilled to get some suggestions. But anyway, like I already mentioned, in today's podcast, I'm giving my thoughts on the 2023 Academy Awards that literally just happened. In fact, I'm recording this, although it's not going to go out the day after the Oscars, I'm recording this the morning after the Oscars. I was up till about 4 a.m. last night watching the Oscars. I mean, I think the Oscars finished about 3:30 in the UK, but I stayed up till 4 a.m. because I couldn't go to sleep. So yeah, I'm currently recording this about 12:30 in the day, so I got like 7 hours sleep, but I'm still very, very tired, and I'd still much rather be in bed right now, and I've got a bit of a headache, but I'm going to push through and give my thoughts on the Oscars, because I don't really have much time in the rest of the week to do so, and also all my thoughts are kind of, they're fresh in my head right now. And I should also say as well that this podcast is probably going to be all over the place because I'm very tired. I haven't done any planning whatsoever, a little cut there behind the curtain, but I haven't done any podcast. I haven't done any podcasting. I haven't done any planning whatsoever for this podcast. So I don't know how it's going to go, and I might not make sense in a couple of parts, and I do apologise about that, but I'm going to push through regardless, because why not? And the Oscars happened last night, and I want to give my thoughts on them as soon as possible. So let's get into the categories. Actually, no, let's start off by talking about the Oscar ceremony in itself. I thought it was fine. I didn't hate watching the Oscars, but I thought it was going to be a lot better. It was definitely better than the BAFTAs. I watched the BAFTAs a couple of weeks ago now, and as much as I love Richard E. Grant, he was the host of the BAFTAs, and as much as I really enjoy Alison Hammond on This Morning, the BAFTAs was just not good whatsoever. It was painful to get through. Richard E. Grant felt like he was reading off a really bad script, and he looked really terrified throughout most of that ceremony. I mean, I'd be terrified if I was hosting the BAFTAs, so I'm not, saying he shouldn't have been, but what I am saying it was noticeable. And so yeah, the BAFTAs was painful, and the Oscar ceremony was definitely better than the BAFTA ceremony. I won't be watching the BAFTA ceremony ever again. And also, I do think it was better than the SAG Awards ceremony. I didn't really watch much of the SAG Awards, but it was on Netflix, and I was on the Netflix YouTube channel. That's what I watched anyway, and I watched about 20 minutes of it. And again, it was better than the BAFTAs, but there were some parts which were painful, like when the actors come up and they try and do this skit between them, and they're trying to do this joke, and more often than not it doesn't land, the joke doesn't work, and you're kind of watching it just cringing your hands, going, no, just move on to award, just give the award out, because this is not working whatsoever. But I didn't mind the SAG Awards. I only watched about 20 minutes of it, but I thought it was watchable at least, definitely better than the BAFTAs. And then you got into the Oscar ceremony, and I said this in my podcast that I did a couple of days ago, that I actually put out on the day of the Oscars. I was pretty close with my final predictions there. I was really looking forward to the Oscar ceremony. I'd never ever watched an Oscars before, never. I'd seen bits of the Oscars online after they happened. Normally I'd wake up the following morning and go, oh, well, let's see who won. But this time I thought, you know what, I'm going to stay up. I'm going to stay up and watch the Oscars. And by the way, usually I'm in bed. I'm one of the people who's usually in bed by about 11 o'clock. So me staying up to about half 3 a.m. in the morning was very unheard of me. And I think it also shows me because I am so tired right now. But I said to myself this year, even if it's just this year alone, I'm gonna watch the Oscars and see what they're like. And like I said before, I thought they were fine. I didn't hate watching them, but I didn't hate watching the Oscars. But there was just so many weird parts and so many unnecessary parts. And for some reason this year, it felt very safe. It felt like they were playing it safe. I don't understand why, because of the slapping last year. But at the same time, though, it didn't feel that enjoyable. I don't know. It felt like the actors who were there and stuff, and the directors as well, all had kind of like a script to play with in the monologue. If you watch the monologue, the opening monologue, Jimmy Kimmel's opening monologue, the Oscars, it felt like he'd already, consulted with his actors and said, "I want you guys to do this," and it felt very much like we were watching a performance of a happy family. That's what I'm trying to say there. It didn't feel like I was actually watching a real life happy family. It didn't actually feel like I was watching people who were enjoying being there, but it felt like they had to act like they enjoyed being there. That's what I'm trying to say. And I don't know if that fully works, to be honest. And I don't mind Jimmy Kimmel. I've watched clips of him online. I haven't ever really seen his talk show the whole way through, but I've seen clips of his talk show online, and I think he's been quite funny in the past. I think he's a decent interviewer, a decent talk show host as well. And I think he did a good job, but it felt as well like he was very scared about being on stage. And again, I understand why he would be, but he didn't feel like he was enjoying himself too much, even as the show went on. And also, there's this whole big feud between him and Matt Damon, and I'm going to guess Matt Damon wasn't there because they didn't really go into the feud. They made a couple mentions to Matt Damon, but I don't know, it felt like there was a missing piece of the puzzle in the whole Matt Damon aspect of the show, because if you know Jimmy Kimmel and Matt Damon, there's this whole big comedy feud going on between the two, and they didn't really lean into that because I'm going to guess Matt Damon wasn't there. And also, some of the jokes with him didn't land. I mean, his opening monologue could have been a lot worse. It could have been a hell of a lot worse. But it was okay. There was a couple of jokes which worked and a couple of jokes which didn't. And then when you kept seeing him throughout the show, it was alright. Yeah, I didn't mind Jimmy Kimmel. It could have been worse, like I said before. And at least his jokes were watchable. I laughed at a couple of them. Quite a few of them didn't land. Quite a few of them didn't work. But, that's the way of the world. So, I didn't mind Jimmy Kimmel. But then the rest of the show, I don't know, there was just something about it felt weird. I felt like I was watching... It just wasn't what I expected from the Oscars, that's what I'm trying to say. And also I thought it was a bit weird that neither Tom Cruise or James Cameron were there. The two pioneers of the two biggest films of last year, Top Gun Maverick and Avatar The Way of Water, weren't at the Oscars. I mean, you had people from those films there. Jennifer Connelly was there for Top Gun Maverick, and I think a bunch of the cast of Top Gun Maverick was there who played the pilot, and you had Sigourney Weaver there and Zoe Saldana there from Avatar The Way of Water. I think John Landau was there as well, who's the producer on Avatar, but you didn't have James Cameron there, and apparently he wasn't there for personal reasons. I just think he couldn't be bothered, to be honest. And I think that Tom Cruise wasn't there because he was already told that he wasn't winning the Best Picture. I think that's what happened. I think this year, and I might be wrong, I might be very wrong, I might find out in a month's time that I was completely wrong about this. But I've got a theory that people this year already knew if they were going to win or not. Or they already knew like 5 minutes beforehand or something like that. Because Tom Cruise wasn't there. Tom Cruise is one of these people who loves movies. You watch one of those talk shows where he's discussing films and he goes on and on about it. And he talks about how much he loves cinema and how much he loves going to the cinema and stuff like that. And the fact that he wasn't there at probably, the movie's biggest thing of the year is kind of weird when you really think about it. I don't know. Maybe it was just some personal reasons and we don't know about it, but I felt like Tom Cruise was in the second biggest film of last year. Everyone was raving about Top Gun for a very long time, and it feels like it was a bit weird that he wasn't there. Same with James Cameron, but maybe not the same effect because I don't think Avatar's touched as many hearts as say Top Gun Maverick did. But you get the point I'm making. It felt weird that they weren't there, and also it felt weird that like people like Scorsese weren't there as well because. Scorsese with the past couple of Oscars, as far as I remember, and he wasn't there this one. I mean, he might be working on a movie, I don't know, but it just felt weird. And like you had Spielberg there, who's a close friend of Scorsese. I don't understand why Spielberg was there because he was nominated for Best Director, but it felt a bit weird that Scorsese wasn't. It felt weird, like Tom Hanks wasn't there somewhere as well. Tom Hanks was in an Oscar-nominated film. He was in Elvis. Say well about his performance in Elvis. I thought he worked in Elvis, to be honest, quite well, but. It felt weird that he wasn't there because Austin Butler, and I just almost unplugged my mic that I'm recording the podcast on, but Austin Butler was nominated for Elvis. Elvis was nominated for Best Picture. I think was Baz Luhrmann nominated, but you understand what I'm saying, and it felt weird that Tom Hanks wasn't there. It felt like a lot of stars didn't go to this year's Oscars, and I mean, you could say that was because of the slap from last year. I don't know. That's just a theory. I'm probably completely out of left field, but it felt this year like the Oscars had become, I think, smaller. I don't know if that's the right word I'm looking for, but it didn't feel quite as grand as I thought it was going to be. And also, I was watching this on Sky Showcase on my TV downstairs, and I couldn't believe how many adverts there were. It was every 5 minutes there was another lot of adverts, and it was the same lot of adverts every single bloody time. Like, oh my god, and they present an award, and it'd be great. Okay, the people won an award, they give the speech. Quite a lot of times they were played off, which I thought was, not great, but still. There'll be a couple of times where somebody was, like, about to say thank you, and then the music started playing, like, oh no, you have to get off the stage. But, they presented an award, and then maybe there'll be, like, a performance of one of the songs nominated in the Best Original Song category, which, by the way, I think is a very useless category. Pardon me there, but that was all fine, and then they'll jump to an advert break, at least from what I was watching, and that's why we keep doing this, and even when they were about to jump to an advert break, sometimes you get the Oscars logo coming with some like jazzy sort of music going on in the background. What? I don't understand that. I mean, that might happen every year, but like I said before, this was my first year, I don't know if I've even said this, but it was my first year watching the Oscars, so I was kind of expecting not so many adverts, I was expecting there to be a more of a flow to the show, and I think the show didn't flow as well just because of the adverts, and the constant adverts at that. Honestly, I thought I was going to be sat there glued to the screen for about 3 hours, however long the Oscars were. I wasn't, and I did, like I said before, I didn't mind watching the Oscars. I think there was a couple of jokes with the Cocaine Bear. Somebody came in dressed as the bear from Cocaine Bear, which I thought was quite funny. There was a couple of moments here and there, like when people won awards, which I'll get onto a bit later. But I just thought the whole ceremony it felt just a bit like they were playing it safe. I don't understand why after last year. And also, another note of that as well, they made about 7 slap jokes. I didn't think he needs to do that, Maybe make 1 or 2 at a push, but they made like 7. They even ended the show with a slap joke because Jimmy Kimmel walked back off the stage and there was like years of Oscars where there hasn't been a fight take place or something like that on like a board, and he just put 1 there, and it was like, why are you still making jokes about the slap? It's fine to make 1 joke about it. 2 is a push. But they went about 7 jokes. They made about 7 jokes talking about the slap. I was like, we get it. We all remember it quite well. Will Smith isn't here because of it. Although I did see quite a funny tweet which said, maybe Will Smith is in the Cocaine Bear outfit. But, at the same time, though, I don't understand why there's so many jokes about the slap. I thought that the ceremony was fine. I didn't think it was bad. I was entertained by parts of it, particularly some performances on the Best Original Song. Even so, I think the Best Original Song category is completely pointless. And you're talking to someone, by the way, who loves music. I was very much interested in, the best original score category, but the best original song category is kind of like, oh, you've choreographed a song for a film. Cool. Why do we need to give an award about? Why do we need to give an award to that? I mean, the song might be great, I quite enjoyed Rihanna's song from Black Panther Wakanda Forever. I quite enjoyed the song from RRR, which was performed. But at the same time, do these songs really need to be rewarded? I don't get the whole best original song category myself, but that's just me. But I was enjoying watching the performance from the people from RRR. I haven't seen RRR. I don't know how to pronounce the title of the film, but yeah, I haven't seen that film yet. I'm going to go watch it now just because of how exciting and joyful and synchronized as well that performance was from the people from RRR. I thought that was really, really entertaining. And also I enjoyed Rihanna's song from Black Panther Wakanda Forever. I enjoyed her performance. Same with Lady Gaga performance for her song from Top Gun Maverick. Although, the song from Everything Everywhere All at Once was not good. Like, good on Stephanie Hsu, who played the daughter in Everything Everywhere All at Once, performing that song. And also I think one of the Talking Heads was performing that song as well. But God, that song was painful to listen to. And it was just a bunch of random melody. I can't even speak. Melody lines going in and out of each other. That song, it was really, really bad. But yeah, I didn't mind the performance of the original song. I know they did that before. I know they did that in past years. But yeah, the whole ceremony was fine. I didn't mind it. I enjoyed watching it. But sometimes for the wrong reasons. Because sometimes I'd laugh and I'd be like, what the hell is this going on? Like, it just felt very weird and toned down. That's my thoughts on the ceremony as a whole. But let's talk about the winners though. Let's talk about whether I was right in my predictions, and also my thoughts on who should have actually won, and whether the right people and stuff like that. So, before I get into any winners, congratulations to Everything Everywhere All at Once. As soon as Jamie Lee Curtis won for Best Supporting Actress, I knew that Everything Everywhere All at Once was going to sweep this year's Oscars. I mean, when Ke Quan won, I thought that was great. I was really, really happy for him, and I'll get onto that a bit later as well. But the thing is, he was already kind of a certain anyway, and I thought if Ke Quan won, it still could have, the big awards still could have gone to Fablemans, Banshees, or, All Quiet on the Western Front. But when Jamie Lee Curtis won, I was like, oh, they're all going to win now. They're going to win all this acting categories. The Daniels are going to win for writing and directing, and they're going to win Best Picture. It's going to win all the big awards. And was I wrong? Because honestly, after a while, the ceremony got a bit boring and a bit repetitive because we knew where things were going. The only sense of anticipation I had for the rest of the ceremony after Jamie Lee Curtis won for Best Supporting Actress. I'm not saying she didn't deserve it, by the way. I'm just saying after that, I knew where things were going. There wasn't much anticipation for the Best Picture category anymore. But the thing is, the only category I had any anticipation for after Jamie Lee Curtis won was the Best Acts category, because it couldn't have gone to anyone from Everything Everywhere All at Once, because there isn't a lead actor in that film. So I was like, okay, I'm going to stay and watch it for that, just for that, because it could be between Colin Farrell, Austin Butler, or Brendan Fraser. Brendan Fraser ended up winning, which is great, and I got into that again a bit later. But, there wasn't that much anticipation of who's going to win the awards. I think, honestly, I was kidding myself when I did my podcast a couple of days ago for the final predictions. I was saying, it could go 5 ways. It could go to Top Gun Maverick. It could go to Banshees. Banshees of Inisherin could sweep. Fablemans could sweep. Or it's probably going to go to Everything Everywhere All at Once. And I even did say that in my final predictions podcast. I said it's probably going to go to Everything Everywhere All at Once. But I don't mind that film winning. I spoke about my thoughts on that film in that last podcast. I think it's fine. I don't really get that film. I think it's got a lot of good moments, but overall, I don't think it totally works, and it's not really my sort of film. But the thing is, I think a part of me wanted there to be a bit of a mix-up. I think a part of me wanted Banshees of Inisherin to win something. I think a part of me wanted Fablemans or Elvis or even Tar just to win something to spice things up a bit, because like I said before, after a while it was like, oh, we know who's going to win this. We know who's going to win this. We know who's going to win Best Director. We know who's going to win Best Actress. I didn't really feel that there was that much to get excited about after Jamie Lee Curtis won. Again, that's nothing against Jamie Lee Curtis. I think that was a good win. I know some people have been against that, and I'll be able to go into that a bit later. But yeah, I thought when everything everywhere all at once, it got quite repetitive after a while. That's what I'm saying about all of those wins. And I'm fine about everything everywhere all at once taking, what was it, 7 Oscars, which is kind of crazy. Might be that, I might be adding up wrong there. But yeah, I think that it's sweeping the most awards is great. You know, I'm happy that that sort of film is getting all its Oscar love. But it did make the show a little repetitive just for me. But anyway, let's talk about some of the other winners. So Guillermo del Toro won for Pinocchio. This was great. I expected that. I think this was a lock-in. I think that was a lock before the show. And also, I think he already knew about 5 minutes beforehand that he was going to win the Best Animated Feature because he was already on stage. He just kind of walked on from the side of the stage when it got announced. And his speech was really good, by the way. So, like, animation is not a genre. It's still film. It was something like that. I can't remember it too well. But I was really glad to see Guillermo del Toro. And it was a bit unfair in some of the other categories because that's Guillermo del Toro, nominated in the Best Animated Feature category because, you know, you're talking about Guillermo del Toro, the guy directed Pan's Labyrinth, The Devil's Backbone, Kronos, Shape of Water, Pacific Rim, Hellboy, Nightmare Alley. You're talking about one of the best directors working today. And he's up against, you know, he directed this fantastic version of Pinocchio, which is all about fascism and death. If you haven't watched it yet, it's great. It's on Netflix. And, you know, it's up against Puss in Boots 2. And I really, really enjoyed Puss in Boots 2. To be honest, I probably had more fun with Puss in Boots 2 than I did with Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio. But the better film is Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio because it's from Guillermo del Toro. So, you know, that was kind of, I feel a bit unfair to the other animated features in that category, but it's still very much deserved of Guillermo del Toro to get that award, and I thought the film was great, so I was right about that prediction, and I think everyone kind of saw that coming as well. I just thought it was a bit weird that he was already on stage. He must have already known, like 5 minutes before, and again, backing up my tinfoil hat theory that I had early on that I spoke about in this podcast, where I kind of feel that they already knew who was going to win and who didn't, but you know. Best Supporting Actor, I already spoke about this briefly. Ke Huy Quan, though, wins for Everything Everywhere All at Once. I think this was pretty much certain. The only spanning the works for previous award ceremonies was that Barry Keoghan won for Best Supporting Actor for the BAFTAs, so there was a bit of like, oh, it might not go to Ke Huy Quan at the Oscars, but I was hoping it would, and it did. I think he gave a great performance in Everything Everywhere All at Once, and his speech was very emotional. Like, he came on stage and went, "Mom, I won an Oscar," and that was a very emotional moment, and you can see how much it meant to him. And yeah, it was great to see him win the Oscar. I thought he was going to, and I find it funny now that the guy, you know, Short Round from Indiana Jones and Temple of Doom, and Data from the Goonies has now won an Oscar. And you hear about his story again. I'm going to reiterate this in case you didn't watch my last podcast. You know, if you hear about his story over the past couple of years, and he speaks about it all these, like, you know, he goes on the Hollywood Report and speaks about his story, how Hollywood shut him out for like 20, 30 years or something like that, and he found it really difficult to get back into the business. And then you watched Crazy Rich Asians and you thought, you know what, I might actually have a place in Hollywood again. And then this film comes up, Everything Everywhere All at Once. They give him the offer. You know, the Daniels are like, I wonder if Short Round's still acting. They give him an offer for the film, and he ends up accepting it. The film becomes this hit. It doesn't become a, you know, mega hit, but it becomes a hit, especially for A24. And then it gets nominated for Oscars. He gets nominated for an Oscar, and then he ends up winning it. So, you know, that's not a bad comeback story whatsoever, and I'm really happy with that win. Now, this one's a bit controversial. The Best Supporting Actress, and this one went to Jamie Lee Curtis for Everything Everywhere All at Once. I think I said I thought it was going to be... No, yeah, I said it, I thought in my last podcast it was going to go to Kay Condon for The Banshees of Inisherin. And by the way, I should say here, and I'm going to talk about this again towards the end of the podcast, Banshees of Inisherin won nothing. I don't get that. But anyway, I'll talk about that again a bit later. But I thought it was going to go to Kay Condon for The Banshees of Inisherin. And I'm a bit surprised that it didn't. I do think she gives the best performance out of the other ones nominated. We have, Stephanie Shu for Everything Everywhere All at Once. She played the daughter in that film. Also, Angela Bassett for Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. She played T'Challa's mother. Hong Shao for The Whale. And also, Jamie Lee Curtis for Everything Everywhere All at Once. She ended up winning, Jamie Lee Curtis did. But I did think Kay Conner gave the best performance. Although I also think it could have gone to Angela Bassett. And this is kind of the controversial, win of the night. Because Angela Bassett looks very heartbroken when she didn't win. I feel sorry for her because, Jamie Lee Curtis gives a good performance in Anything Everywhere All at Once. I'm not saying she gives a bad performance. I think Jamie Lee Curtis, it seems like an absolute joy. You watch on these talk shows and just doesn't care what anyone thinks. She's a great actress and I really liked her in Everything Everywhere All at Once. But Angela Bassett gives a better performance in Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. And I do think perhaps she could have won. I do think perhaps she should have won as well. And maybe Jamie Lee Curtis's Oscar win isn't just for this film. Maybe it's like Scorsese when he wanted a pie back in 2006. They make a joke about that in Ted Lasso. Ted Lasso was like, when Scorsese won the Oscar for The Departed, we can all agree that The Departed is not Martin Scorsese's best film. I think it's Goodfellas. That's kind of the joke they make in Ted Lasso. And it's the truth. The Departed is a good film, but is it the film Scorsese should have won the Oscar for? Maybe not, and that's kind of how I feel with Jamie Lee Curtis and Everything Everywhere All at Once. I don't know what she would have won the Oscar for elsewhere, but still, I'm not sure she'd won it for this, and I probably would have given it to either Angela Bassett or Kay Conner instead. I'm happy Jamie Lee Curtis won, and she seemed like she was generally shocked herself when she went, oh shit, like that. She mouthed, oh shit, but yeah, I don't know if I would have given it to her, but I'm okay with her winning. I don't think it's quite as controversial as everyone makes it out to be. Angela Bassett might still get another chance. Who's to say? And I think Kay Conner might still get another chance, especially if he's done another film with Martin McDonagh. Martin McDonagh's films in the past, whether it's Three Billboards and now Banshee of Inisherin, have been nominated for Oscars and have won Oscars in the past. So, if she still works with Martin McDonagh, there's more chance in the future. But, yeah, Jamie Lee Curtis wins. I'm okay with the win. I think it's actually kind of funny as well because she plays a very weird character and Everything Everywhere at Once. Not a character you expect to be honest, get nominated for an Oscar to start off with, but even win an Oscar, that sort of thing, a performance, you don't expect it from that sort of film. And I'm okay with the win, but I think it should have gone to either the other two women nominated. But, it is what it is. Best documentary feature, I'm not going to go into that, but best live action short, I just want to quickly say this one. An Irish Goodbye won, and I haven't seen the film, but when they won, the people came up to stage, you all sang Happy Birthday, and I thought that was actually quite a delightful moment. So yeah, that was quite nice to watch and quite funny. And the guy whose birthday it was, who I think was in the film, he seemed really emotional and he was holding the Oscar whilst everyone was singing Happy Birthday to him. That must have been quite a moment. But yeah, I just wanted to talk about that because it was a real delight to watch. Best cinematography went to All Quiet on the Western Front. I think I said it was going to go to that. Although I also think it could have gone to Elvis, it could have gone to Empire of Light. Empire of Light, simply because it's Roger Deakins, and it could have easily gone to Tar. But I think I did get my prediction right there. I can't remember. Yeah, I think I did. I think I said All Quiet on the Western Front, and deservedly so. I think it's got great cinematography, and the guy who won Best Cinematography for this at the Oscars also won Best Cinematography for All Quiet on the Western Front at the BAFTAs, and his speech, you can see how much it meant to him. I was happy about that. Best makeup and hair. I'm going to quickly talk about this one. It went to The Whale. Now, I think the makeup and hairstyling, I don't like The Whale. I've spoken about this many times on this channel. I don't like The Whale whatsoever. I think it's a film which really rubs you up the wrong way. But anyway, at least it rubbed me up the wrong way. But anyway, The Whale wins Best Makeup and Hairstyle. And that's fine, I don't care about that. But I actually do care a bit. Because All Quiet on the Western Front gets nominated, The Batman gets nominated, and Black Panther Wakanda Forever and Elvis get nominated. Now, I don't think Black Panther should have won, and I don't... Actually, Black Panther could have won over The Whale. I think the makeup and hairstyling is better in Black Panther than it is in The Whale, but still, All Quiet on the Western Front, understand why it didn't win. But the reason why The Whale won is because Brendan Fraser's in that fat suit. It's impressive and everything. It makes it look real, but... The same thing happened with The Batman, with Colin Farrell when he plays the Penguin in The Batman, and the same thing happens with Tom Hanks in Elvis. I'm not talking about the quality of the films there, I'm talking about the quality of the makeup and hair and stuff like that. And so, I don't understand and this just might be me really being really naive and stupid, I don't know, but I don't understand why Brendan Fraser's fat suit for the whale is better than Colin Farrell's fat suit for the Penguin in the Batman, or Tom Hanks in Elvis. I don't get that. Maybe it was just something with the whale that I'm missing, but I thought that the makeup and hair was just as good, if not better, in Elvis and the Batman. But that's just me. Best costume design went to Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. I think I said it was going to go to Babylon. I think that's what I said. Although I don't know if it actually even talked about it in my last podcast, but no, it's understandable why Black Panther won it because they have some great costume design in that film. I would have given it to Elvis. Because I think the costume design, particularly with Austin Butler, who's playing Elvis, is particularly fantastic, and it's actually done by Baz Luhrmann's wife, by the way. Baz Luhrmann, who directed Elvis. So, I would have given it to that. Elvis probably would have given it to Babylon over Black Panther, but I'm fine with Black Panther: Wakanda Forever winning Best Costume Design because it is still pretty good. Best International Feature Film, I got this one right because it was a lock, because this film was the only one of the international features which was in the Best Picture category, and that was All Quiet on the Western Front, and deservedly so. The speech that the people gave who won, Edward Bergen, had a bit of a cast from All Quiet on the Western Front on the stage as well, was a really nice speech. The way he thanked some of the cast members from All Quiet on the Western Front as well, and apparently the guy who played the protagonist in All Quiet on the Western Front, apparently that's his first film, and when you watch All Quiet on the Western Front, he gives such a phenomenal performance, that the one who plays the protagonist, really memorable and phenomenal performance. So they gave a really nice speech, and I'm really happy about that. All Quiet on the Western Front, I spoke about it in a podcast a couple of weeks ago. I think it's an exceptional film, and I'm really happy that it won Best International Feature. It also won Best Production Design, which is cool. I probably would have given it to Elvis myself, but I'm fine with it winning as well. I didn't realise how much production design actually went into All Quiet on the Western Front until they broke it down, when they go for all the nominations at the Oscars. I was a bit surprised Avatar: The Way of Water was nominated in that one. I'm a bit surprised by Babylon, but actually no, Babylon is a good nomination for production design as well. Fableman's, a bit surprised that got nominated for production design, but I wouldn't have given it to All Quiet on the Western Front. I would have given it to Elvis, but I'm fine with All Quiet on the Western Front winning for Best Production Design. Now, let's go on to Best Original Score. This is a bit of a funny one, because it seemed like they were building up for John Williams to win the Oscar, because Jimmy Kimmel made a comment about John Williams in his opening monologue. He said, we have the most Oscar-nominated man living here, Walt Disney is the most Oscar-nominated man ever, but of course he's passed away now. So here tonight, John Williams is 91 and he's the most Oscar-nominated man living with 53 Oscar nominations. And then they said something as well, the voiceover said something just before one of the advert breaks, where they said, could John Williams make Oscar history tonight and get his 6th Oscar, because he already won 5 for Jaws, Phil on the Roof, Star Wars, E.T. and Schindler's List for the score for those films. And so I thought, oh my god, is John Williams going to win his 6th Oscar? No, it went to the score for All Quiet on the Western Front. And the score for All Quiet on the Western Front is very good, by the way. At least it is in my opinion. I think it's a very effective score, and not the sort of score you expect from a war film. I think it's a lot of synthesizer music in there, which works really well. But I think it could have gone. I think it should have gone to John Williams for The Fabelmans. I think my prediction was Justin Hurwitz for Babylon, and say all about Babylon, love it, hate it, whatever. I think the score for that film is incredible, and I would have given it to Babylon. But I also would have been more than happy if it went to John Williams for The Fabelmans. And it felt they were building it up, so when he didn't win, I was like, I mean, John Williams might get another chance. He's still scoring. He's got the score from Indiana Jones 5 coming out later this year, which I can't wait to hear. Whether the film can be good or not, I just can't wait to hear another John Williams Indiana Jones score. And also, he's doing another score Spielberg. He's already confirmed that he's not retiring. But I think it just would be nice to give John Williams another Oscar, but maybe it's just me being John Williams biased because he's my favourite film composer of all time. I have literally the CDs to all the Star Wars soundtracks, and the Indiana Jones soundtracks, and the Jurassic Park soundtracks he did back there, and loads of his scores as well. Got his score for Warhorse back there, BFG, The Post, and so on and so on and so on. Catch Me If You Can as well. So yeah, you can get the point. I'm a huge John Williams fan. I thought they were going to give it to him the way they were making out through most of the ceremony leading up to the Best Original Score win, but it just didn't happen. I didn't get my prediction right on this one either. I thought it was going to go to Justin Hurwitz for Babylon. I think that was the one which deserved it the most, probably. But it went to the guy who did All Quiet on the Western Front. I forgot the composer's name. And it's a very good score. I just don't think it's as good as a score for Babylon or Fablemans. But, it works, and I'm all right with that winning Best Original Score. Best Visual Effects called this, and I think you're crazy if you thought otherwise. It went to Avatar: The Way of Water, and again, deservedly so. So about Avatar: The Way of Water, love it, hate it, want to marry it, whatever. Say about that film. I understand it's not for everyone, but the visual effects make you believe in Pandora, make you believe in the underwater Pandora in that film. Far more than they did in the first Avatar, so I think that says a lot. And I said this in my last podcast about my final predictions of the Oscars. I said the best visual effects are seamless. Visual effects you don't even notice. The first time I watched The Batman, I didn't even know there's any visual effects in there. I knew the second time, but I didn't know the first time. Same with All Quiet on the Western Front. I was watching All Quiet on the Western Front, and if you told me there were visual effects, I wouldn't have noticed. I really wouldn't have known. And so I think those two films were also worthy of winning best visual effects. But it was going to be Avatar, and I was right in my prediction. Black Panther Wakanda Forever was also nominated, so was Top Gun Maverick. Again, they both had good visual effects, but I thought, particularly in the case of Black Panther, the visual effects were noticeable. There were times going, okay, I'm watching this visual effects spectacle. I'm not saying that was a bad thing, I'm just saying it was noticeable, and I felt that the visual effects in Avatar: The Way of Water, even though, it was quite a meaty visual effects fest, I still think it makes you believe in Pandora. And so that's why I think it deservedly won for Best Visual Effects. Best Original Screenplay went to Everything Everywhere All at Once. Went to the Daniels for Everything Everywhere All at Once. Now, this is why I think Banshees of Inisherin should have won. Even though even so, I think I was about to say the favourites, but even so, Everything Everywhere All at Once wins all the other awards. That's fine. I still think Martin McDonagh should have won for this because I think the screenplay, in particular for the Banshees of Inisherin, is excellent. It's so well written, so well written, and I felt that this one was the wrong decision. To be honest, I felt that it should have gone to Martin McDonagh. And I felt they made the wrong choice in this one. I think the screenplay for Everything Everywhere All at Once is good at the start and the end. Sorry, in the middle though, I think it doesn't really work as much because it's saying, "Oh, the world's going to end." There's this bagel, Rakakuni, it's just a big joke. There's all this stuff like that going on in the middle of Everything Everywhere All at Once, and so that's why I don't think the screenplay works that well. I don't think it holds the film together particularly well. I don't think it's actually a particularly well written film, but that's just me. If you think it's great, that's awesome. I'm just giving my opinion. But I think the Banshees of Inisherin, I think the script is particularly masterful with that. And that's the one I would have given it to. That was my prediction, but I was wrong. I think it should have won it, but I was wrong. I also think Fableman's had a good shot of winning Best Original Screenplay as well. But yeah, it should have gone to Banshees of Inisherin in my opinion. It definitely should have gone to Banshees of Inisherin. And I'm fine with Everything Everywhere All at Once winning. I understand why it won for Best Original Screenplay because Everything Everywhere All at Once sweeps. It got 7 Oscars, which, good for them. But the fact that Banshees of Inisherin won nothing, I think it should have won for this one at least. Martin McDonagh's script for Banshees of Inisherin is something which I think is going to be studied for years to come because it's brilliant. Best Adapted Screenplay, this was a nice surprise. It went to Women Talking. I thought it was going to go to All Quiet on the Western Front because All Quiet on the Western Front won Best Cinematography, Best Production Design, and Best International Feature. So I thought, the other one that's going to win a lot tonight is All Quiet on the Western Front. Everything Everyone Wants to go sweep, but All Quiet on the Western Front is still going to win multiple awards. I thought another one was going to win, but it didn't go to it though. It went to Women Talking, and Sarah Polley, I think that's how I pronounce her name, who was a writer and director of Women Talking, seemed generally happy and surprised that she won, and really ecstatic just to be there and actually get an Oscar. And I was really happy for her. She gave a really nice speech as well. I really liked Women Talking. I thought it had a really well written script as well, really well written screenplay. I didn't know it was adapted. Now that I've heard it's adapted, I'm wondering if it's adapted from a stage play perhaps, because it did feel a bit staged at times. That's kind of my only criticism of Women Talking though. I felt that was a very good film, especially for what it was. It really caught me off guard, like how much I was invested, emotion invested as well, into what was going on and how much I cared about the characters. So, I'm really happy when we're talking about because I didn't think it was going to. My prediction was All Quiet on the Western Front, and you can see why. That's a well-written film as well. But I'm happy Women Talking won. I'm happy it won over Top Gun Maverick. Don't know why Top Gun Maverick is nominated the Best Adapted Screenplay category because it's a fun film. I enjoyed watching it. I've said it a million times, but I just don't understand why it got nominated for Best Adapted Screenplay. I don't get that. But that's just me. Best sound went to Top Gun Maverick on the Sound We Saw. The sound mix in that film is particularly good. Best original song, I think, is a largely irrelevant category already spoken about this, but Natu won for RRR, and that's the one they performed at the Oscars. That one is particularly entertaining. I'm fine with that winning, and the Oscar speech, by the way, there was actually very funny because the guy who won for Best Original Song came on and he said his speech to the tune of a Carpenters song because he said about how much he loves the Carpenters, and so that was quite funny, and I thought the speech was particularly good. I thought the song was really good as well because they performed it, and I'm fine with that winning, especially over that's the song This Is a Life from Everything Ever All at Once, which was particularly bad. That song was really bad. Good on Stephanie Hsu performing that in front of the Oscars because that would have been quite nerve-wracking. I just thought the song was really, really bad. But that's just me, and I'm really happy with winning. Best editing went to Everything Ever All at Once. I think we should have gone to Elvis. Imagine editing Elvis. Again, say all about Elvis, love it, hate it, whatever. That film would have been really, really hard to edit. I think all Baz Luhrmann films are really difficult to edit. I think he's a bit insane, to be honest. So I think it really should have gone to Elvis, but it went to Everything Ever All at Once, and again, good for them. It's a well-edited film, but I also think that Top Gun Maverick's better edited in my opinion, but should have gone to Elvis, and I think that was my prediction. I don't even remember if I'd actually know if I talked about that, but it went to Everything Everywhere All at Once. Best Director went to the Daniels for Everything Everywhere All at Once, which, no surprise there, Everything Everywhere All at Once sweeps, and it goes to them, although I do think it should have gone to Steven Spielberg for The Fabelmans. That would have been the one that I chose. Or Martin McDonagh for The Banshee of Inisherin. Again, better films in my opinion. But I'm fine with anything Everywhere All at Once winning. I'm not saying that. I'm happy that a film like that is getting recognition from the Oscars and stuff like that. But I didn't feel it was the best directed of all the ones in the category. I think it should have gone to Spielberg for The Fabelmans. But that's the second year where Spielberg's directed two Oscar, bait movies. Not Oscar bait, that's not the right word, that's not the right phrase there. But two movies which have been nominated for Oscars, and he didn't end up winning for either. He didn't end up winning for his version of West Side Story, which I thought was masterfully directed, and he didn't end up winning for The Fabelmans. But hey, that's life. And the Daniels won, and the Daniels speech is actually very good as well. One of the Daniels, I don't know which one it is, I don't know the names of either of them, but he came up and said, I've just been nominated against my people I admire, and I guess he was referring to Spielberg there. So it was kind of nice that they also talked about how much they admire the other people in that category. The Best Actor Oscar went to Brendan Fraser for The Whale, which I was a bit surprised by. I think because of the BAFTAs, I thought it was going to go to Austin Butler for Elvis, and I would have been fine about that. I did speak about this in my podcast I did on my final predictions for the Oscars. I was expecting it to go to Brendan Fraser. I think that's what I predicted. But I was also fine that they went to Colin Farrell for The Banshee of Inisherin and Austin Butler for Elvis. But I didn't really want to go to Austin Butler for Elvis because even though Austin Butler gives such an amazing performance as Elvis in that film, he's a young actor. He's still got loads of years ahead of him. He's still in his 20s as far as I know. I know he might be in his late 20s or whatever, but he's a young actor. Colin Farrell's been in the business for a long while now, so is Brendan Fraser. And so I'm really kind of rooting for either of them to win, even so I didn't think Brendan Fraser's performance was all that from The Whale, to be honest. I still love Brendan Fraser. He was on my TV, used to be on my TV every Saturday when I was a kid growing up, whether it was with The Mummy or The Mummy Returns, because they used to be shown on ITV1 all the time. So yeah, I'm really happy about that, because how about that for a comeback? Comeback story with Ke Huy Quan and Brendan Fraser? Ke Huy Quan hasn't really worked for about 30 years, comes back, does this one film, ends up winning an Oscar for it. Same with Brendan Fraser, hasn't done loads of work over the past 20 to however many years, and he comes back and he wins the Best Actor Oscar for it. How about that for a comeback story for both of them? That's great, and I'm really happy. Apparently they worked together as well for a very long time ago. So Yeah, I thought it was really cool, and I'm glad Brendan Fraser won. It's not who I would have given it to. I would have given it to Colin Farrell for The Banshee in the Show. I think that is the best of all those performances. Even though I do think Austin was incredible as well as Elvis, but I think Colin Farrell is much more. Um, I think it's much more subtle and much more effective. But I'm fine with Brendan Fraser winning. I'm happy he did, just because I like Brendan Fraser so much. Best Actress went to Michelle Yeoh for Everything Everywhere All at Once. I know some people thought Kate Blanchett was going to win, and Kate Blanchett did win the Golden Globe. She did win the BAFTA, but she didn't win the SAG Award. And that's why I thought that, things are going to get mixed up. And that's why I even said that I thought was going to go to Michelle Yeoh in my last podcast on my predictions for this year's Oscars, because Michelle Yeoh won the SAG Awards. And so when Jamie Lee Curtis won Best Supporting Actress early on in the night, I was like, oh, right, okay, Michelle Yeoh is winning. It's going to sweep. Not Banshee, sorry. Kind of wish Banshee in the Show did sweep. But it went to Everything Everywhere All at Once, swept the board at the Oscars. And when Jamie Lee Curtis, Ke Kwan, and when the Daniels winning for Best Original Screenplay and Best Directing, I knew it was going to go to Michelle Yeoh. And that's great. Michelle Yeoh's been around for a long while as well, like 30 years, maybe even 40 years, working in the industry. And the fact that she, again, finally getting the recognition deserves. And I'm fine with her winning over Kate Blanchett, because even so, Kate Blanchett, in my opinion, gives a better performance in a film that I really detest. I still think she gives a better performance because, Kate Blanchett physically plays Tar. She doesn't just, play the character. She physically performs that character. Even though I do think she gives a better performance, she has already won 2 Oscars. And so, not to would have meant a lot to her, but Michelle Yeoh, I think, would have meant a lot more, and I'm happy she won, because I don't know if she'll get another chance as well. I just don't know. You never really know. Especially because Hollywood's quite racist. But anyway, and the Best Picture winner was Everything Everywhere All at Once, much to no one's surprise. The nominations were All Quiet Western Fun, Avatar: The Way of Water, The Banshees of Inisherin, Elvis, Fableman's Tar, Top Gun Maverick, Triangle of Sadness, Women Talking, and then the winner was Everything Everywhere All at Once, which is a name and a half, by the way. Every single time I said that name, I feel like I'm saying it for about 30 seconds. But yeah, I'm okay with Everything Everywhere at Once winning. I thought it was going to win, and I'm okay. Like, the fact that a film like Everything Everywhere at Once wins the Best Picture Oscar, I think is kind of cool, to be honest. I think it's awesome, because films like that, you just don't really expect to win Oscars. It's not my sort of film. I did speak about this. I even re-reviewed the film in my last podcast, so go and check my re-review of Everything Everywhere at Once if you haven't already, in my last podcast. But, even so it's not my sort of film, I'm okay with it winning, because it's different, it's unique. A lot of people love it that I know, and I think that it's not your sort of film that you're going to get every year. I think it's a once in a, not a once in a lifetime sort of film, but it's a very, I don't know what the word I'm looking for. I'm so tired right now, but I think it's a once in a while sort of film. That's what I'm trying to say. That I don't think you get a film like this often at all, and I do think it's the best multiverse film of last year. Definitely better than Doctor Strange, The Multiverse of Meandering. So yeah, I'm happy that it won. Although, gotta say it, I think it should have gone to The Banshees of Inisherin. I think that would have been what I would have given it to. I also would have given it to All Quiet on Western Front. I also would have given it to Fableman's. And to be honest, I would have given it to Top Gun Maverick as well. Maybe not, actually. But, I would have given it to any of the other ones, just because, I think a part of me wanted another one to win. Because Everything Everywhere Once, a lot of people were talking about how it was a certain with this Oscars this year, before the Oscars happened. I was like, I don't know. I don't really want it to be. I want it to be a bit surprise. I want there for something to happen, like, I don't know, Banshees wins Best Picture, or Top Gun Maverick wins Best Picture, and it kind of throws everyone into a curveball and things like that. I wanted there to be a big surprise, and it didn't feel like there was a big surprise. So even so, I'm absolutely fine with Everything Everywhere at Once winning. Well, by the time they did win, I got to that point where I was like, yep, kind of respect that, because they won like everything else. Well, they almost won everything else. So I'm okay with it winning, but I think, next year, if it's certain who's going to actually win the Oscar, I'm probably not going to watch the Oscars. Because, like I've already mentioned, Banshee of Inisherin won nothing. Fabelmans won nothing. Elvis won nothing. You know, and Tar and Triangle of Sadness won nothing. Now, I'm not a fan of Tar and Triangle of Sadness, but still, those songs won nothing, and I know people who are. And also, I know people aren't fans of Elvis, but that film, say all about it, whatever. There's been so much effort put into that film, and the fact that it won nothing, I just felt was a bit of a surprise. And same with the Fabelmans and the Banshee of Inisherin. I get the Fabelmans isn't for everybody, but again, the fact that that film won nothing, I think, saying a lot. And also the fact that the Banshees of Inisherin won nothing. It won nothing. And I think that's a far superior film than Everything Everywhere All at Once. And I'm fine with Everything Everywhere All at Once, Mick. I know I sound like a broken record there, but I just want to reiterate that. I'm not saying I'm not having a go at Everything Everywhere All at Once winning, but I just felt it got a bit repetitive after a while. And the fact that Banshee of Inisherin won nothing, though, nothing. It should have at least won Best Original Screenplay. You know, when the Daniels won for Best Directing, I just remember looking at Martin McDonagh, because you know you got all the faces come up on screen and then they zoom in on the one who's won. I remember looking at Martin McDonagh just kind of like, because he knew he wasn't going to win. And, you know, I feel a bit bad for him, because I felt he had a chance. I really felt like he had a chance. But that's the Oscars for you. The best film doesn't always win. I know a lot of people do think that Everything Everywhere All at Once is the best film of 2022. I personally don't. And I think it should have really all gone to Banshees of Inisherin. Or it should have gone to the Fabelmans. I'm fine with Everything Everywhere All at Once winning. I really am. But the fact that Banshees of Inisherin won nothing, I don't think that's right. I really don't. But that's just my thoughts on this year's Academy Awards. I'm okay with the wins. It got a bit repetitive after a while. And next year with the Oscars, if there's a film that looks like it's going to win everything, I'm just not going to watch the Oscars. I'm not going to sit through another, 3 hours and a half of adverts every 5 minutes. It felt like that. Cringy jokes every now and then. And a ceremony that feels quite safe. I just can't be bothered sitting through it. I can't be bothered wasting my time, especially right now when I've got so much on. You know, I'm not saying that someone was bad. I'm not saying it was bad. I'm not saying it was bad whatsoever. I'm just saying that I'm not too bothered about watching it next year if it looks certain with who's going to win what. That's just my thoughts. But I'm happy I did watch it though. I'm happy I gave it a chance. I've seen the Oscars now. I can officially say that. And you know what? It was worth a watch. That's what I think. And it did get a bit repetitive after a while. But I'm happy for Everything Everywhere at Once winning. I'm happy for the Daniels. Hope they have a great career now. But it's going to be quite funny in a couple of years' time. You already get those people saying, Everything Everyone Wants is bad, because that's what happens when a film wins Best Picture. In a couple of years' time, people go, actually, it was quite a bad film. It shouldn't have won Best Picture. Actually, the film that should have won Best Picture was the film that didn't win Best Picture. And I can tell you now, there's going to be discourse in a couple of years' time saying that Banshee of Inisherin should have won Best Picture. You know what? I'm saying it now, the day after the Oscars, or in this case, when the podcast comes out 2 days after the Oscars. But anyway, yeah, that's what I thought. I think Banshee should have won, but Everything Everyone Wants won. And I know I said before, but I'm going to say it again. I'm okay with it winning. It's just not what I would have chosen. And the Oscar ceremony was fine. It wasn't bad. It wasn't painful to get through. But should have been a bit better in my opinion. It should have been a bit better. And I wish I enjoyed it more. It wasn't what I expected. And yeah, it just felt like they played it safe. I understand why, but yeah, could have been a bit more enjoyable to watch. Anyway, guys, that's it for the podcast today. I'm extremely tired right now, so I'm going to round everything off pretty quickly. As I said in my last couple of podcasts, I'm really busy right now researching, planning, and drafting for my dissertation, so I don't have much time, so I'm not doing much videos over the next couple of weeks, so look forward to my next podcast, probably coming next weekend, although I might have a different sort of video coming in the week, maybe. I'll see how everything goes, so look out for that, perhaps, coming sometime later this week. And also, I should say, say thank you as always for watching, and if you haven't yet, please do click down below and like, subscribe on this podcast. I look forward to many more, both film and TV reviews and podcasts coming very, very soon in the future. Thank you as always for watching, guys, and I'll see you all again soon, but bye for now. Bye!